today, almost 2,000 years later, people condemn Nero for fiddling while Rome burned. Yet I always found it interesting that no one commented that all Romans must have sat while it burned as well. I sometimes wonder if the Roman population could have prevented this catastrophe themselves. Obviously, a single person battling that humongous fire could not have made much difference. Yet surely all those people grouped together against the scorching monster could have done something. I grew up a part of a family very involved in grassroots movements, and I have strong faith in this option of people banding together to make a difference in history. We collected signatures in all weathers to help a candidate get on a ballot. We picketed in front of abortion clinics for years on end. We traveled thousands of miles to constitutional rallies and Supreme Court hearings. Not surprisingly, the belief that the everyday person, united with other everyday people, can influence and make a difference in history seems to run in my veins. Thus, the option of the Romans came to mind, giving me cause to wonder how history would differ if the Romans had taken this option. The founding of our country, the American Revolution itself, was brought about by people, regular citizens, united for a desire for freedom from the tyrannical reign of Britain. In recent times also, people have united under a desire for freedom from tyrannical legislation. The most pertinent time that comes to bill is against the Texas U.S. Senate Bill 1440, which states that Child Protective Services could enter our homes and seize children without lawful cause or warrant, and moreover would forbid families from gaining a court appeal to be able to regain custody of their very own children. Hundreds of thousands of mothers and families have worked together in a combined effort to oppose this legislation. They have called Governor Perry's office demanding that he veto this bill, and it is reflected in the many, many sites that are found on the internet asking you to call Governor Rick Perry and telling us that your phone calls and emails are actually working. This is only one of the many by the Republican Broadcast Network, also run by the Family Court Values, and there are many, many more to be found online. They do not put that the calls and emails are working just for the sake of typing. They put it because it is true, because it is because of the numerousness and earnestness of the calls and emails that Rick Perry's attention will be drawn to this dangerous bill. People have used simple but earnest methods to get the word out about this bill. Mothers with toddlers on their laps, and sometimes even a few months pregnant, do not seem a likely battalion. But when love and care for their children is concerned, they can certainly be just that. Mothers have called and emailed all the people that they know on their contact lists, in their address books, and have told them about this dangerous bill and how they can oppose it. Countless family-related sites and associations have put the word of alarm out about this bill, and why it is so dangerous and insidious a danger to our families and their lives. Although Senate Bill 1440 passed through both the House and the Senate, the grassroots activism was so strong as to convince Governor Rick Perry to veto the bill, an action almost unheard of our governor. Governor Perry's official statement can easily be found on his own website, where he states, "I, Rick Perry, Governor of Texas, do hereby disapprove of and veto Senate Bill 1440 of the 81st Texas legislation." Shortly before he vetoed this bill, Governor Perry informed Tim Lambert, head of the Texas Homeschool Coalition, that he was strongly opposed to this bill, and Tim Lambert then informed his own followers by his website, saying of Rick Perry, "He has heard the outcry from parents all over Texas and many other parts of the country, and is responding accordingly." Grassroots movements are frequently resorted to by people who truly love peace and family values and culture. Mothers, such as these in Senate Bill 1440, have taken their God-given right to protect their children, and in a peaceful yet strong way have influenced legislation that can hugely affect their own lives and the lives of their children. Grassroots movements seem so incredible because they are not a resort to violence, not a resort to anarchy, not a revolutionary way, but a strong way for citizens to strengthen their representatives and their resolve of deciding about new legislation in the light of the standing law of the state, and in the light of the fact that they were brought into office to represent the values and opinions of everyday people. These movements have been spread across the entire spectrum of belief. Grassroots movements have not just been used to sway matters of family affairs and political legislation. They have been used by almost every association known, whether it be religious, educational, economic, or even environmental. Throughout history, grassroots movements have proven themselves to be the tool of the small. The tool of the small come together to influence to the very top, to accomplish the individually impossible. When one looks at a tiny ant trying to move a huge seed, it is most certainly a pitiful attempt, almost comical in its pitifulness. However, a whole line of ants moving a pile of loot that they wish to carry to their hill can be very impressive. Many people would not feel contempt or humor at the tiny ant struggling to move the huge seed then, because there are 10 more ants struggling along with him, making it possible. 60 legs instead of 6. Simply add a 0. Simply multiply times 10. A small group has developed there, and yet what a movement it has